Arc Raiders and Marathon are not the same. Yes, they are both extraction shooters, they cost the same, and both clearly try to make the genre more approachable and mainstream. Arc Raiders absolutely succeeded at that. It became one of the most successful multiplayer releases in recent years, growing week after week early on, which is rare. A big reason for that success is how well it onboards new players without alienating people already familiar with the genre. I had a great time with it too. The game creates intense, almost movie-like moments. Fighting the arcs feels unpredictable. Proximity chat leads to unique player interactions, and overall the game feels fair and well balanced. Embark created something special here. And yet, something always felt off to me. I enjoyed Arc Raiders, but it never fully clicked. And for a long time I couldn't explain why. Now that Arc Raiders is established and we are learning more and more about Marathon, the differences between these two are becoming much clearer. Some are obvious, others less so. I'm diving into 6 categories that reveal what actually separates these games. Because Arc Raiders and Marathon prove that 2 games in the same genre can be made for completely different player types. And not everyone online seems to get that. Let's break it down. Let's start with the most obvious difference. Perspective. I've played FPS games my whole life. Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Destiny, Apex, Valorant. I've put countless hours into all of them. But there isn't a single third-person multiplayer shooter I've ever truly enjoyed. I never played a single round of Fortnite. That said, perspective alone isn't a deal breaker for me. I've played a lot of Deadlock, and it works perfectly in third person. So, while I naturally gravitate towards FPS games, third person isn't an automatic no-go. Still, if I had to choose, especially in a high-stakes extraction shooter, first person just feels right to me. And that's one reason I prefer Marathon. Let's move on to the next category. Both games have strong worlds, but they couldn't be more different. Arc Raiders takes place in a grounded post-apocalyptic setting. You're exploring a world reclaimed by nature and overtaken by arc machines, with the underground city of Speranza as your hub. It's realistic sci-fi that feels believable. Marathon goes in the opposite direction. Set in the distant future on the abandoned colony Tau Ceti, you play as a bio-cybernetic runner exploring hostile, abandoned facilities. The UESC Marathon ship looms into orbit, and the game leans heavily into psychological and philosophical themes. Both worlds are immersive, but they aim for completely different vibes. Arc Raiders leans heavily into survival realism. Marathon embraces ambitious, big idea sci-fi, exploring concepts like transferred consciousness and bioprinted bodies. And this is where Marathon completely wins me over. I love sci-fi, psychological horror, and abandoned space stations. The idea of transferred consciousness has always fascinated me. If that theme resonates with you, I highly recommend you to play Soma. I played it years ago and it's still stuck with me. Marathon taps into those ideas in a way that really speaks to me. The short version is, I prefer futuristic weapons and existential sci-fi over realism. Marathon's world is the one I want to explore. But great worlds don't matter if the combat doesn't hold up. Let's talk about PvE. On paper, Arc Raiders' PvE system is impressive. Machine learning driven enemies create unpredictable encounters and the overall system works. But for me, fighting larger arcs, especially solo, often felt tedious. And while massive bosses like the Queen or Matriarch sound great in theory, they never really excited me in practice. That might just be me. And given how popular Arc Raiders still is, I'm clearly in the minority. How smart Marathon's PvE enemies are and how fun they will be to fight against is still to be found out. Unfortunately, I can't talk about my experience from the October playtest, but based on what we've seen so far, the UESC enemies look promising. Bungie's track record with engaging PvE speaks for itself, and I'm especially curious about what new enemy types await us on the Marathon ship. On top of that, there will be Destiny-like raid mechanics and other secrets hidden throughout the world. I can't wait to drop in there. But PvE is only one side of the equation. The real tension in extraction shooters comes from PvP. Arc Raiders PvP works. Plenty of people are still enjoying it months after the launch. But aggression-based matchmaking is where it loses me. In theory, matching players based on how often they fight sounds fair. But in practice, it removes the unpredictability. My lobbies become sweatier because I engage regular in PvP, while players who have no interest at all in fighting other players end up in lobbies so safe it's basically a no-risk zone. No fights, no worries. Knowing someone will definitely shoot you, or definitely won't, kills the tension that makes extraction shooters special. That uncertainty, especially through proximity chat, is the magic. Marathon's matchmaking approach is still unknown, but Bungie seems to understand the importance of PvP. Their response to someone complaining about PvP ruining a run is this here. Just kill all the enemy runners first. I mean, that says a lot. It's hilarious. And it shows that Bungie might understand that there is an opportunity here to attract players who feel overlooked for the reasons I was talking about before. But more importantly, Marathon's PvP simply feels better to me. Fights are fast, dynamic, and intentional. The pacing reminds me of Apex Legends, which makes sense given how similar the time to kill seems to be and how the healing system works. Arc Raiders PvP works. It's slower, more tactical, and rewards patience. That's not something I dislike, but I don't enjoy it for its own sake. But Marathon's PvP is something I'd play just because it's fun and engaging. And comparing it to the combat feel of Apex is one of the greatest compliments you can make about a game. Let's move on to the next category: movement and abilities. When it comes to movement, Arc Raiders has slides, dodge rolls, and maybe some hidden movement tech, but no real abilities. And that's fine for what it is. The thing is, I've always preferred ability-based games. Valorant over Counter-Strike and Apex over PUBG. Marathon fully embraces that. It offers deep movement tech, speed boost, slide boost, grappling hooks, double jumps, and combat that rewards mastery. Arc Raiders intentionally limits movement, which is a valid design choice, but not one I enjoy. I don't think the game wants you to use some of these movement tools mid-fight, but even outside of combat, they felt frustrating and simply weren't fun to use in any scenario. Maybe it's just me, but let me know in the comments what you think about that. Moving on to the next category, which is called Playstyle. Arc Raiders has a skill tree system which I really appreciate. I love placing points after every level up. That progression just feels great. But the problem is that most of the big nodes at the end seem to be not that interesting. The most popular skill trees skip the perks players are usually incentivized to pursue. Beyond the skill tree, you can choose different augments that let you equip higher value shields, expand your backpack space, or trigger passive abilities, like deploying a smoke bomb when your shield gets cracked. This system works well and gives you some flexibility to fit your playstyle. Marathon takes a completely different approach. Instead of a skill tree, you pick from different runner shells, each built around a specific role. The latest developer video showcased all of them, and honestly, I cannot decide which one to main, which is a good problem to have. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you checking it out. Each runner shell can be customized even further with shell-specific mods, creating massive buildcrafting depth. With at least 28 different weapons that all support different mods, the possibilities quickly start to explode. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I've got a quick showcase video running through all 28 weapons that you can look up. What I also like about this system is that when you lose your best mods for your favorite runner shell, the system naturally encourages you to switch things up, because you might have powerful mods available for a different shell. In Arc Raiders, I found myself gravitating towards the same augments, weapons, and utility over and over. Marathon offers far more flexibility, and as more runner shells, specific mods, and weapon attachments get added over time, the range of playstyles will only grow. So that pretty much sums it up. these are the main reasons why I'm personally far more optimistic about getting hooked on Marathon long term. There are also a few smaller things that didn't deserve their own category, but still mattered a lot to me. First, the different approach to free loadouts. In Marathon you can choose to play as Rook, which essentially gives you the appearance of a regular UESC unit. On top of that, Rook has an ability that lets you move through certain areas without being noticed by hostile NPCs. And I think that's such a cool idea. On top of that, you can unlock and purchase sponsored kits through the different factions, which means the game actually supports two different ideas around what a free loadout can be. And the last thing is the fact that Marathon lets you bring back fully eliminated teammates. This keeps the momentum of a run alive, in a way that Arc Raiders just doesn't. Again, this comes down to a difference in design philosophy, but for me it simply kills the flow when one of your teammates gets taken out and has to sit there waiting for the rest of the round to be completed. In Marathon, if your teammates died, you can just try to stay alive, hide, and when an enemy rotates away, you just go to their bodies and bring them back. And they may even get some of their loot back. So this feels just better to me. Arc Raiders is a fantastic game. Embark created something genuinely special, and its success is well deserved. If you enjoy grounded survival mechanics, crafting systems, PvE heavy gameplay, and third-person shooters in general, Arc Raiders is absolutely the game for you, and I'm sure you're already playing it. In my opinion, Marathon is shaping up to be a game that most FPS fans will genuinely enjoy. It's a Bungie game, and there is always something special about how they approach gunplay and world building. Destiny is undeniably a milestone in video game history, and I'm rooting for Marathon to become the next one. I think it's especially compelling for players who are drawn to mysterious high-end sci-fi rather than grounded realism. And if it really leans into PvP, supports that with raid-like PvE elements, and continues to build its combat around abilities, movement and build crafting, Marathon could offer something truly unique. Both games have their place. Both will find their audience. But for my personal preferences, Marathon is what I've been waiting for. Arc Raiders was missing something for me, and Marathon has it. I'm genuinely curious how people react to this video. This was never about deciding which game is better. It's a biased take, and that's the point. It's about explaining why Marathon clicks for me more than Arc Raiders. Now I want to hear from you. Have you played Arc Raiders? Was your experience similar to mine? Did it click for you? Will you be playing both when Marathon launches? Let me know in the comments. If you found this comparison helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing. I'll be covering Marathon extensively when it launches in March, and I'll likely check back on Arc Raiders as it continues to evolve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.